So before I take off on my epic voyage today, I thought I would play around with a different kind of anchoring technique, namely just using an anchor marker. Yeah, I've rigged it up so basically there's a float and approximately 15-20 feet of rope attached to a pulley so it can slide up and down with the tide, and a weight on the other end of that, and it's all kind of precariously hanging over the edge so that when I get to my destination this afternoon or this morning, I can just literally push a button, drop anchor, and everything will be set for me. So yeah, we'll see how it works. Welcome back to my Captain's Vlog series. We're just going to jump right in here. No need for a silly intro. Here I am pulling my boat out of the slip on to another adventure. You see I'm using a boat hook this time. I just thought maybe having a boat hook would be beneficial in case I had to jump up front and push myself off of that fancy blue boat on the starboard side there, but didn't actually end up using it. I don't know if you can tell, but it's like dead calm, glassy water, no trouble getting out. No close calls. So the plan for this little adventure is to anchor out for the evening, basically to anchor out overnight. I've anchored out in the past. I've anchored out in Bodega Bay and a couple other places, but I've never anchored out overnight and stayed on the boat at anchor overnight. So this is the first time I'm doing that. So I thought I would check out this one spot that's like literally maybe 200 or 300 yards away from the marina entrance, and it looks like a pretty good spot. I'd seen other boats moored there in the past, and looked at the charts previously. Decided to go take a look, and you can't see it, but in my left hand there I've got my smartphone out with Navionics, so I'm looking at a chart, I'm looking at depths, and I'm also looking at the depth finder on the boat, which is mounted on the keel of this boat, and just kind of going around and looking at the depths in this particular spot. It's not where I wanted to anchor, but I'm going to go a little further up the channel and see what I see. There's another spot up there, but I think I'm going to come back here. Downtown Bodega Bay. You can see all the people eating in the restaurant as I go by. That's funny. It's also got a little dinghy dock over here, which is cool, I think. So we're coming up to the end of the channel now. I'm thinking this might be a better spot. So yeah, still wasn't totally sure what I was going to do, but I wanted to get to right to the very end of the channel here, and there is a little turnaround area marked on the charts. As you can see, all the seals were out. I guess that's a sea lion, not a seal. I think there's the harbor seals, and then there's sea lions. I think that was a sea lion. I'm not sure. There is a wreck marked on the chart here in this little turnabout area, so I was steering clear of that, and going right up to where I thought was a good spot to throw the anchor. I think I'm in about 10-11 feet of water here. Okay, here we go. So I had the anchor marker all set up beforehand, and here I am just releasing the anchor from the cockpit. Okay, so I put out 10 meters of chain. I'm going to go forward and see if my little floaty thing worked. So I went up there and took a look and couldn't see the anchor marker at all. It didn't float to the surface, so I came back to think about what I was going to do. And then right when I got back, it did not work. I don't know if you can see it there. There, I just noticed it. Yep. It worked. The anchor marker popped back up and marked the anchor. So now I have a reference of where the anchor is. See that? There's my anchor. So we're in 6 feet of water. Or no, there's 6 feet of water underneath the keel, which is plenty. But that means that we need to let out at least 5 times that much. Right? So if I put out even more, if I put out 2 meters of chain, no, sorry, 20 meters. Because right now I'm at 10 meters. Oh, I hate math. So yeah, I let out a total of about 20 meters of chain here, and about 60 feet of chain, I suppose. So I just let out a little bit more chain. You can see the anchor marker there, pointing out the anchor. Where the anchor is. The other cool part about it is that you, like if you got snagged on something, you have another point that you can actually pull the anchor off the ground with. You could hoist it up by that side if the other side got snagged. All right, so I'm going to straighten out here, and then I'm just going to give it a little bit of back juice. Little back juice. This is me backing down on the anchor. I never really know. I'm still really green at backing down on the anchor. Basically what happens is the torque from the prop walk basically spins the boat out to the port side, and but I'm pretty sure it got stuck in the mud. It's good muddy holding here. Okay, I'm gonna call it. We're anchored. We're anchored out. I'm gonna cut the engine. Neutral. So once I was sure that I wasn't drifting, I got situated and started setting up my dinghy. I've set up the dinghy a few times in the past, obviously, but this is the first time I've ever set up the dinghy at anchor. So that was kind of fun. That's a loud pump. That's why I'm sticking my fingers in my ears. Yeah, and once I got on the dinghy, I just rode around and took a look at my beautiful boat at anchor. This is an angle of Dagny that I haven't seen yet, and so I just kind of soaked it up for a little while. The weather wasn't great. It was overcast, but it was calm, and so yeah, just kind of chilling around in the dinghy. The point of throwing the dinghy in the water like this, though, was to go just down the way. You can kind of see the buildings there, but just down there is a store where I plan on buying some beer. Paddling away like this. It's like you just leave it there in the water, a little chain. Hope nothing bad happens to it. There you are. Hi. This little seal, this is a seal. That's a seal right there. He followed me all the way to this little dock. And I'd passed this dock as I approached, and you know, my sailboat went past this little dock, so I took note of it and remembered it. It's about 500 yards away my boat is, so a decent little paddle, but wasn't too bad. Service. The boat's over there behind those pylons. You can't see it at the moment. Oops. That's where I just came from, but I'm gonna go and ask, see if it's cool. So yeah, while I was on land, I ran across the street to a little store where I grabbed a couple beers, but I also found these beautiful plants, and I thought I'd get some footage of them just because I was on land, and that's what you're supposed to do when you're on land, is take pictures of plants. Perhaps my dad can identify them. This is what the front side of the place where I tied up my little dinghy looks like. The tides. It's kind of like this tourist trap where you can spend a bunch of money on fancy stuff that they make in China. So that was found from a shark right outside, I suppose, just out of context. Great white shark, length 17 feet, approximately 3,500 to 4,000 pounds. That was caught in Bodega Bay in 1984. Here's some more plants for you, Dad. I don't know if you can identify those as I'm just walking by. Some of them are pretty obvious. Poppies and daisies. Not sure what those little ones are, though. And then it was back to the boat. They didn't have a problem with me parking my dinghy at this establishment. They just told me that I couldn't meet anybody at the restaurant and take them back with me. That if I came alone, I had to leave alone. And that if I came with somebody else, that I had to leave with somebody else. They were very clear about this. They said, can't go picking up people and taking them back to the boat. So yeah, I was warming up a little bit on the way back home, and just had a little fun. Went around in circles. And got another shot of Dagny at anchor. Isn't she pretty? I think she's pretty. Let's get back on board. The wind picking up definitely makes maneuvering this little rowboat a bit more of a challenge. Well, it's the next day, and I'd like to report that I had a wonderful evening. I slept like a baby. My anchor marker is still where it's supposed to be, marking the anchor, and yeah, I had a wonderful meal last night. I slept really well. I've been up all morning shooting my slingshot, which was awesome. Just so you know, I'm not shooting at anything that's alive. I'm shooting at little pieces of seaweed that are floating past my anchorage here. And I'm shooting clay. These are clay balls. They're not metal or acrylic or glass or anything like that. So they're just going to dissolve in the water. Fun. If there's nothing else to shoot at, you just shoot at the foam from the previous shot. An endless supply of targets. It's just been a really, this whole anchoring out thing is like, I'm kicking myself that I didn't do this a lot sooner. It's like the best thing I've ever done. Just sitting still on a boat and getting to know the kind of gentle swaying of the anchor, how you kind of sway back and forth in the wind. The wind did change a little bit last night, so like it was coming in from, right now it's coming from the southwest, and in the middle of the night it was coming in from more northwest. So it shifted, and we shifted on the anchor, but nothing bad happened. So it's just like increased my confidence a lot. Like the idea that like if I got kicked out of the marina, or if I can't find a marina, which has been the big kerfuffle over the last couple months, is trying to find a marina down in San Francisco Bay. I feel like I've been missing the whole point of having a sailboat is to do this, is to be able to anchor in little spots that that they can't chase you out of. and having your home, having a nice stove and kitchen facilities and whatever to make a nice meal and be warm and dry. And oh yeah, it was excellent. I just got to say, it was excellent, and I plan on doing this a lot more. There's a couple of like little day trips actually from here out to Drake's Bay and back would be a good one, just to practice, because again, I think this is, if I can master this, if I can master like being able to find a little spot and anchor, then I'll be that much closer to getting the out of here. Just kind of a wrap-up summary before I start packing up here. I just had the best time on this little adventure, you know, going to the store yesterday, getting a couple beers, rowing with the seals, and you know, just experiencing Bodega Bay from a different angle. Even though my marina is right over there, I can see it from here. This has just been a really great experience. So I should have done it a lot sooner. Anyway, it's time to pack up and head back to Spud Point Marina. Of course, first I have to pull the dinghy out of the water and deflate that and get that stowed away. So I'll get some good practice in there as well, and I'll check back with you in a second. So yeah, here I am pulling the dinghy out of the water, and I'm getting this down. Obviously it deflates a lot faster than it inflates, so then it's just a matter of folding it up and rolling it up, stowing it on the foredeck. Then it was time to up the anchor. So this is the first time I've ever upped the anchor after an overnight stay in an unfamiliar anchorage. I'm expecting the worst. There's a bit of mud, but that's about it, and the anchor came up no problem. Best thing to do is to pull the anchor in first, and then I could gather in my anchor marker system, which is what I'm doing right here. So it wasn't too hard to actually get that anchor up with the anchor marker on it. You just like reel it in the same way. Theoretically, now's the time I should be untying things, but since it's kind of close quarters and I'm on my own, I'm just going to let it be and get back to my slip and then take care of it there. So then I motored back very slowly. I didn't go over three and a half knots the whole time, I don't think. But I motored all the way back, maybe half a mile to a mile to Spud Point Marina, and tucked into my slip, no problem. There was very little wind and very little current at this point, so my standard operating procedure of just kind of coasting in and jumping off the boat seemed to work just fine. I am going to update though. I got a great comment from somebody here on YouTube telling me, or giving me a way to do it differently, so I'm going to be practicing that soon. Yeah, after I landed, I wanted to spray off the anchor and the chain, all the muddy bits, and there's some mud on the deck there, so I was using my Ryobi power washer here. Just threw the cable over the side, and I'm using salt water to kind of rinse everything off. I feel like that's the most environmentally friendly and responsible thing to do these days when water is such a commodity. So yeah, here I am just using salt water to spray off the mud and the gunk that was on the actual anchor. Kind of clean up the foredeck a little bit, and then when I'm done, I just empty out. I spray out all the salt water from the thing, and I basically spray some fresh water through the whole system to kind of rinse it out before I pack it away. Well, I'd like to thank you everybody for watching my latest episode about my first experience overnight at Anchor. I had a wonderful time doing it. I really can't wait to get back out there and do it again. I've been busy with some work, and the weather hasn't been that great, giving me many opportunities to do so, but I will do so again very shortly. I'd like to thank my patrons for all their support. Thank you guys so much. I sincerely appreciate it. And thank you all for liking and subscribing. And I'll see you in the next episode.